only knew the power of the dark side, it is your destiny.
Hello everyone. It is July 3rd, 2014, and this is Take the Gate. I'm listening to music from Earbits, and I'll leave a link in the description below. This is a story out of The Guardian, and it is written by David Hill, and says that Peru now has a license to kill environmental protesters. Law exempts soldiers and police from criminal responsibility if they cause injuries or death. Peruvian security forces arrested a protester in June 2009 during a conflict that led to more than 30 people dying and 200 injured. Some of the recent media coverage about the fact that more than 50 people in Peru, and the vast majority of them are indigenous, are on trial following protests and fatal conflict in the Amazon over 5 years ago that missed a crucial point. Yes, the hearings are finally going ahead and the charges are widely held to be trumped up. But what about the government functionaries who apparently gave the riot police the order to attack the protesters, the police themselves? And following WikiLeaks revelations of cables in which the U.S. ambassador in Lima criticized the Peruvian government's reluctance to use force, and wrote there could be implications for the recently implemented Peru-US FTA if the protests continued. The role of the U.S. government is non-existent, because they have plausible deniability that any of this happened, and they didn't put their government up to put a gun to their head, to put a gun to their citizens' heads. The conflict broke out in northern Peru after many indigenous Awajans and Huampis had been peacefully protesting a series of new laws in which they were supposedly emitted to comply with a trade agreement between Peru and the U.S., and which made it easier, among other things, for extractive industries to exploit natural resources in their territories. Following a blockade of a highway near the town called Bagua, an agreement that the protesters would break up and go home reached the day before. Early on June 5th, the police moved to clear it and started shooting. In the ensuing conflict, 10 police officers, 5 indigenous people, and 5 non-indigenous civilians were killed, more than 200 injured, and at least 80 of whom were shot and elsewhere in the Bagua region. A further 11 police officers were killed after being taken hostage. And so far, as is common, only protesters have been taken to jail, said Amnesty International in a statement marking 5 years since the conflict, pointing out that human rights lawyers have said that there is no serious evidence linking the accused to the crimes that they are being prosecuted for, which include homicide and rebellion. So far, little progress has been made to determine whether there is responsibility for the security forces. Likewise, no progress has been made to investigate the political authorities who gave the orders to launch a police operation. So it says here, Dublin-based NGO Frontline Defenders puts it, members of the armed forces and the national police exemption from criminal responsibility if they cause injury or death, including the use of guns or other weapons while on duty. Human rights groups both nationally and internationally, the Human Rights Ombudsman, Defensora del Pueblo, as well as the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, all expressed deep concern about the law. In the words of the Lima-based Instituto Libertad y Democracia, IDL, the law equates in practice to license to kill. That law, number 30,151, was promulgated in January of this year, according to the IDL's Juan Jose Quipse, a modification of existing legislation passed by the previous government. The modification consists of replacing 3 words, en forma reglamentaria, with 5 otro medio de defensa, which Quispe says that it means that any soldier or police officer can now kill or injure a civilian without needing to use his or her weapon according to regulations, or by using something other than his or her weapon. We continue considering this law as one of the many that grant the armed forces as well as the national police a license to kill. Quispe told The Guardian it permits a high degree of impunity during the repression of social protests. Police officers and soldiers who cause injuries or death will now be exempt from criminal responsibility. And this is on The Guardian, so I'll leave a link in the description below. This is Take the Gate. Please comment, rate, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Signing out.